it's a very interesting story, actually. We were working at a script for 2 years, which was a comedy. It was called The Marriage Myth. And we really put a lot of effort into that script. And then I noticed that there is a keyboard in my garage that is accumulating dust. And I asked Daniel to sell it, to put it on Craigslist. So he did, and he sold it for $100. And then I see him packing the keyboard and taking off somewhere. And I said, "Where are you going?" And he says,
"Well, this wonderful lady in Beverly Hills bought the keyboard, and I'm bringing it to her."
And I said, "Are you crazy? You're going to put $50 in gas and spend half of the day, and it's just silly to do that." And he responded,
"Well, but I already promised her, and so I packed the keyboard into my small, compact car, and I went to Beverly Hills."
And disappeared. He was nowhere to find for the whole day, and then he arrives really late and says,
"This is like a comedy show between the two of you. I don't know."
Yeah, we complete each other's sentence all the time.
I know, right?
So I come back and I tell her this story. I met this wonderful lady. She was in her mid-70s, and her name was Gwen Davis. She turned out to be a published author, and she showed me pictures of her with Cary Grant and Marilyn Monroe backstage. And she told me all these amazing stories about her life, and she had just moved back from South America. And now she wanted to write a musical with a composer friend of hers, and that's why she bought the keyboard.
And I thought it was just amazing that somebody in mid-70s would dream about something and would want to fulfill and has goals and purpose. And so I kept thinking about it, and that story fascinated me. And a couple of days later, usually all of my epiphanies come at night. So I wake up and I start shaking Daniel and said, "We are putting aside the marriage myth and we're working on this new story because it grabbed me and I can't let go of it." So that's how this idea of an elderly who is embarking on the pursuit of a dream came about, and a young man at a different. So the movie is sort of a Harold and Maude story, but without romantic involvement. It's about unconditional love that empowers to reach higher goals and heights. And so it's about a young musician who's in his 20s who's about to give up on his dream. Music is his dream, and he's selling his keyboard. And this feisty elderly woman who's just embarking on the pursuit of her dream, and that's their story.
Well, it's a beautiful interlude, in watching the two of them together and how they became very close. And, and that was the part that got me. That's why, throughout the film, there was tears, that I was watching, and I was like, this is just such a beautiful story. And it was a caring of these two women. But it's amazing to me to hear that it was actually part of a true story.
Yeah.
That actually happened.
We couldn't really say based on a true story because it wasn't, but it certainly was inspired by that. Yeah, by
this that one incident that really triggered this amazing feeling of, and I started questioning, where am I at my, point of life?
Right.
Am I answering to my calling? And yes, I'm going to make movies because that has always been my dream. And I could never do it until later in life because there were other responsibilities. I'm from Moscow, from Russia, so I kept immigrating and settling in several different countries. So that all took away really being who I am. But now it's time, and I feel a younger fall in some way, so I relate to that character very well because I am just embarking on the pursuit of my dreams.
Well, and I think that was such a touching part of the film, but also at the very beginning, it talked about, people aging. And so the woman felt like she had nothing left because it was her birthday. Mm-hmm. Her children didn't even come celebrate her birthday. So it was a really sad moment because you think about that and you think about aging. You have no purpose. What are your dreams at that particular point? And this particular woman was helping this young Adam in his pursuit of following his dream and to compose a piece of music throughout their friendship.
Mm-hmm. They completed each other. Mm-hmm. And it's really, friendship is ageless because he couldn't find common grounds with the girl his age. We have the B story, his relationship with Hannah. And there was nothing, they couldn't just find that connection. And yet he found the connection with an 80-year-old. Go figure. It happens. We have an amazing connection, and there is an ocean of years between us. And it happens.
Right.
You can't explain it. I think friendship, love are ageless.
Yeah. And there's actually a story that just came out. You may have read it or heard about it, that a young actor in Los Angeles and an older lady, they were neighbors for quite a long time, and they became friends, and then ultimately moved in together. And he's helping her with her, daily care and all that. And it's a wonderful story. And that's really, we heard many stories now just like this. And friendship is really, like you said, it's ageless, and it doesn't apply to necessarily the same age group all the time. And so that's one of the reasons why we also wanted to make this very clear in the movie.
Well, you're absolutely right, and that story did come up, and as I was watching the film, I actually thought about that particular instance that you were referring to. And sometimes you wonder, like, when those relationships happen, people think that someone's taking advantage of the other, and that's not really necessarily
Certainly
the case.
not in this case.
Right.
She was completely broke, and he was raising money for her cure. I believe she has cancer, right? She was diagnosed with cancer. And he was actually raising money through social media for her cure. It's not necessarily, there's so much scrutiny and so much judgment. People will always judge. You just have to shake it off and know where you stand.
Right.
I happen to believe that we are ageless, that it's all in our minds, and people connect on different levels. One of my very good friends is a 92-year-old Russian violinist, and we have this amazing connection, such a beautiful friendship, and I just can't get enough of having him around and talking and stories. So it's great.
Now, this is your first film festival at the Sedona Film Festival?
It is.
Yeah.
And how's Sedona treating you and the film
Amazing.
festival?
Fantastic.
Royal
We
treatment.
feel so spoiled already. Yeah, it's amazing. It really is.
Very warm and very special.
Yeah.
Very special. And we're happy because we believe that Sedona is the right audience. This is a spiritual movie for a spiritual soul, and there's no better place for us to premiere. We're very excited.
Now, the title of the film, Slipaway, it was shot in San Diego, and it was basically in a harbor.
Yeah.
So where did the title
And in
of
the
film-
ocean.
In the ocean, of course. And the ocean, which is probably fun to shoot.
Well, that's a whole other story. But yeah.
How did you choose San Diego, and how did you choose the title of the film?
The film chose everything. The film. This project has some very interesting power. It just led us to certain places. It led us to the boat. It felt natural. It felt we were driven there. And it's interesting that we found the same boat. Our producer, Tig Mutafian, who's our mentor, is just an amazing filmmaker.
Yeah.
He found the boat, and I found the boat, and there was the answer. This boat was meant to be.
Yeah.
And the title of the boat, the name of the boat was Slipaway. So initially we had a different title for the movie. It was called Fall. Also multi-dimensional title. It's about his fall, about her name was Fall. But then when we saw the boat, and it sort of demanded the title, and for us it looks like a custom-made boat that we custom-made, and it added production value as well.
Yeah.
Now, also throughout the movie, Adam was composing music. Fall was helping him compose this song. And you sing it beautifully, and obviously
you.
it's your composition, is it
Yes.
not?
Yes.
Yeah.
My brother played 3 notes. Back in Russia, in Moscow, when we grew up, we both played piano. Our mom is a concert pianist, and he played 3 notes, and I thought they were so enchanting. They were so special. He said, "Play more." I said, "I don't have more." So those 3 notes, da-da-da-da-da, more than 3 notes. But anyways, the first phrasing, they stayed with me, and I continued composing and finished up actually for the movie. And that song I knew was meant for something special. And during, I used to be a recording artist, so I never really wanted to, to use that song for anything else but that special purpose that someday I knew was going to find itself. So I kept it in my heart and just chanted it and always sang it in the shower and continued developing it into a song. And there was this right moment to turn it into the leitmotif. And at the end, end crawl, the credits, there's this final song that I finished, and we wrote lyrics together recently. So it was a journey of a melody that evolved into a song and became a modern ballad, which is special to us.
Yeah.
That's great. I could sit here and talk to you for hours about it, but I'd like to open it up to the media that's sitting here in the room for
Please.
questions. Anybody have questions?
How long did it take you to get from the concept, the original concept, to the finalization in the can, ready to show it?
That must have been
2 years?
2 years, yeah. Just almost exactly 2 years.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Our post took quite some time.
Yeah.
Because
does.
Yeah.
because San Diego, where we were shooting, there was a military base, and for some reason, every moment we were in the middle of the most amazing scene,
Yeah.
the plane would take off.
Every 15 minutes, there
And it
was either a
the-
helicopter or a jet flying
It
by.
was the most
So was
frustrating.
that the biggest challenge you
Yes.
had during the filming?
We had to
Yeah.
do quite a bit of ADR and sound work. So.
Yeah.
Yes.
I imagine shooting on and around water poses certain kind of difficulties, and I was wondering if you could talk about those challenges a little bit.
Absolutely. So on our second day out in the ocean, we got everything done, and every day.
4 miles in the ocean.
Yeah, 4 miles
no
off the
shore
coast.
scene anywhere.
Yeah. And every day we were running against sunlight, as all productions do. But we only had this one last scene that we needed to get that day before the sun goes down, and we got it 2 minutes literally before the sun went disappearing behind the horizon. And then we were done. We're all happy. All right, we got the day shots, everything in the can, and then we were driving back, and all of a sudden the motor doesn't start.
It dies. We are
It
in the
dies.
middle of nowhere. I just watched All Is Lost with
Yeah.
Robert Redford, and ocean is not my thing. I was very seasick, and it
Yeah.
was really on me. It was very hard. I'm more of a enchantment hotel person rather than a sailboat. So we have this captain who says, "Oh, I've been doing it for 40 years. I'm going to take you on sails into the dock." I said, "If you do that, I'll bow to you. I'll kiss your feet. Please do that." So he's like all proud and sets the sail. And we start actually sailing. And I say, yes, we're going back.
Yeah. Wow, what a relief. We're going to make it back.
The wind dies. Literally 10 minutes later, the wind dies, and it's hopeless.
Completely.
And it's getting dark. And there's a beautiful moonlight path that is illuminated. And that was my only calming thing. So this is so beautiful. This is our path. This is the path of the movie. It's going to be illuminated. But it was a very scary experience. It's getting darker and darker, and the guards cannot find us.
It was a Sunday, so there was only one towing company available on emergency call. And what happened was, apparently our captain gave them the wrong coordinates, and so they kept going to the wrong places, and so they couldn't find us. And it was a constant back and forth. We were out there for
12 people
4
in the
hours.
boat for 4 hours,
Yeah, the
stuck
whole
in the
crew.
middle of the ocean. I was
constantly going like this. Oh man.
total panic, and I thought I'm gonna die before finishing the movie. At least our baby has to be finished before we go. So that was, challenges were tremendous. But and then our drone, we had this beautiful plan of shooting with the drone, the boat. It's such a spectacular vintage boat from the 1930.
1983.
No,
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
1938.
38. Yeah, yeah.
1938, made, hand carved in Taiwan, and it traveled the world. It really the history was just so we could feel history in every carving. So the boat was very special, but we really knew nothing about the boat. And so what if it has holes? What if we're gonna sink? What about my daughter? So it was scary, but we were so obsessed with this project, and you have to be obsessed to make a good movie, and I hope it's a good movie, because at this point we don't know anymore. We've seen it 2,000 times, and is it great or is it just terrible? But it seems that our first audience is really embracing it, so it's like elixir to our heart, because a lot went into this movie, including my 401k and pension plan. It's wiped out.
We didn't expect this, to be honest.
We did not.
I didn't expect this either.
This is amazing.
Okay.
Yeah, it is.
All right, is everybody ready in the media room?
I guess so.
No, 1 second. Want to check focus on this camera?
We've got some rubble on the sound.
Yeah, that's next door.
Can you see Larry? Let me hear what you're thinking.
Well, it's not there now. Actually, I think it's her hand moving on that mic.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
So be careful. Keep your hand as tight on that thing as possible, because if you move it, we can hear you.
You can hear me.
Sounds pretty hot. Can we reach
Yeah,
these
we
guys a little bit?